Bonjour, hi, Canada. I'm Hugh Hewitt. I've got a son and a son-in-law who have been through Sears training. And I've got a nephew who's been through Hell Week, and my buddies Lou Bremer and Rourke Denver have told me about Hell Week. Our next guest, Derrick Van Orden, a SEAL of long-standing, now a newly elected member of Congress. I want him to compare freshman orientation for the House with Hell Week. How did it go, Derrick?
Well, I never thought of it that way, but it was actually 2 weeks. Hell Week was only 5 days. There you go. The freshman orientation was a little bit longer, and I started calling it Congress Camp, and it's pretty interesting. I got on my social media. When people go to the federal government in Washington, D.C., they seem to oftentimes forget about their district, and the people in the district don't know what they're doing. And so I'm trying to demystify this entire process and really open up the doors of the House of Representatives so that the average American can see what takes place every day. And I think a little more transparency in government would be great for everybody.
I think this is fabulous, and I've been following your feed. Tell people what it's like to be a freshman arriving. I did this with Juan. He has the perspective from the South, from Tucson, right? You've got the far north. You're like up there on the tundra, and D.C. feels warm to you. What's it like for you?
Well, you nail it there. And Juan Ciscomani, by the way, is one of the finest guys you're going to meet. We've become fast friends, and I'm really proud to be his colleague. You're right. There's a lot of people from Florida are walking around shivering, wearing bearskin hats, and we're in T-shirts and wanted to barbecue on top of the Cannon office building in D.C. But it's really nice. It does remind me in a way of boot camp, honestly, because you have people coming from disparate backgrounds all together with a common purpose, and that really is to serve America. And I'll be frank, the Democrat side, a lot of this stuff was done in a bipartisan manner, and I was really pleasantly surprised by the fact that a lot of these Democrats that get demonized by us, and we get demonized by Democrats, are really able to sit across the table from each other and talk to each other. So I have confidence in this 118th Congress coming up, the freshmen, that we're going to be able to do great things for America, because we're looking at the mission, and the mission is America. It's not our own personal political wants and needs.
Now, Representative-elect Van Orden, I don't want you to pick fights with what I call the knucklehead caucus, the 5 guys who are holding up the transition. I don't want you to do that. You don't need that. But I am curious about when you got recruited, if Kevin McCarthy played a role in wooing you into the race, or who got you, Derrick Orden, to say, yes, finally, go for it?
Me and my wife. Kevin McCarthy didn't recruit me. Kevin McCarthy helped me immensely to get elected, as he did with the vast majority of the folks that are coming in. I want to be really clear. I'm not using the term knucklehead, and I don't think you should either, Hugh. These are people that have a divergent political view than we do, and they have a different way that they're trying to get their point across. Would I do that? Absolutely not. No. The reason we have the majority in the House is because of the team that Kevin McCarthy assembled and led. Cut to the end, period. That's it. And that deserves the ability for him to continue to lead this team for the next couple of years. So I'm looking forward to working with these guys. I'm confident that they're going to come around. They need to understand that the reason, I want to say it again out loud, the reason that we took the House is because of Kevin McCarthy's efforts, the team that he assembled and led. And here's another thing here. People forget that in 2020, Nancy Pelosi had 222 seats. How many seats do we have now? 222. It's exactly the same margin. But the Democrat Party, and unfortunately a lot of the Republicans, built this up where they thought Ronald Reagan's going to come sliding down a unicorn, or on a rainbow on a unicorn, and that we're going to have 435 Republican members of Congress. That's just not true. But we have the exact same majority that Nancy Pelosi had in 2020. So we need to get together as a conference and leverage the ability to affect positive change in the United States of America in the House. And if we do that by being team players.
Now, Derrick, duly noted, your objection to knucklehead, but not persuasive. I want to tell you why. 31 years I've been in this chair. 31 years. I have never seen a dumber move, because we have a select committee on China to stand up that is urgently necessary. We have a judiciary committee that's got to look at the FBI and what they were doing with Twitter. We have an appropriations committee that, were we in place, would be able to negotiate right now with the Senate on this $1.7 trillion. Now, I don't expect you to throw in on that. That's just Hugh Hewitt after 31 years. I've never seen anything this dumb. What would you do with a teammate? And these are Republican teammates, right? I'm a Republican. Everyone knows that.
Yeah,
what would you do with a teammate that you served with for a long time who just did a bonehead move?
Well, Hugh, I got to tell you, you just reordered my priorities for Congress. At one time, I want to have a convincing argument that changes your mind. I don't care what it's about. It could be about lunch. But if I can pull that off, I've been a successful legislator. Hey, so this is how I approach this problem. If Admiral Nimitz had to look in front and behind him all the time, we never would have conquered Japan in World War II. If General Patton had to look forward and back at the same time, we never would have gotten through Tunisia, through Northern Africa, and then finally into Southern Europe. If Eisenhower had to look in front and behind him, we never would have conquered France and gotten into Germany and ended World War II. So a leader has to be able to look in a single direction and understand that he is leading a unified front. So coming from a military background, that's how I view these things. We have a mission to accomplish, and the mission is America. And the person that's leading the party has to understand that the folks behind him are not trying to kick him or her out of office constantly, or have the ability to do so, because that degrades the ability for us to work as a unit.
Gosh, that's brilliantly put. Leave it there, because I got a substantive question, not political. You, okay. I assume, during your deployments went to Djibouti, right? At some point, you must have been in Djibouti. The Chinese are building, they're trying to basically buy Djibouti. Does that concern Derrick Van Orden, having been a veteran of our facilities and operations there?
100%. I lived in Djibouti, and it's a unique place. People don't understand there's a single railhead that goes from the Red Sea that supplies all of the goods, or the vast majority of goods, for Ethiopia. That goes right through the port of Djibouti. It shares a border with Somalia, which is a war-torn country, we understand that. And it shares a border with with Eritrea. That is a critical point. It's right across the way from Yemen, and it goes up and it leads to the Suez Canal to the north. So if the Chinese are capable of taking control of Djibouti, we have a real problem, because they already own the railroad that goes across the Panamanian Isthmus to control the Panama Canal. That means that the Chinese would in effect have control over the Panama Canal and the Suez Canal. Those are really bad things for really big picture stuff that I believe that President Xi is working on. I mean, this guy thinks in strategic 20-year terms, and unfortunately, we have people throwing rotten fruit at each other, and they can't even figure out that where the Wuhan virus came from.
This is, to me, everything depends on Xi. And did you get armed services, Derrick Van Orden? Have you gotten a committee assignment yet?
Committee assignments will come out in mid-January, and the committee that I'm advocating to get on hard is the Agriculture Committee, because I represent an agricultural district. If I could be on the House Armed Services Committee also, that would be fantastic. But I view my primary purpose in Congress is to represent my state, which is Wisconsin, and we are the dairy state, for Pete's sake. We produce 1 billion more pounds of cheese than the next state, and that's California. So
that's pretty impressive, actually.
It's totally impressive. It's awesome. I love cheese. I'll bring you some.
Talk to me about Luke Fickell, though, because you went and got an Ohio State guy to coach the Badgers. Now they might actually be fairly potent.
You know what, man? I leave that up to those football players. I got a country to run. Football's great. It's fun to watch, but it should be a pastime. And my pastime is making sure that I'm fully prepared to represent the people of the state of Wisconsin to the best.
Are you gonna live here? Are you gonna go back and forth every weekend, Derrick Van Orden?
I'm going back and forth. You know what? To me, it's great to be in Washington, D.C. I think you need to be there for a certain period of time. You get to know your colleagues, and I think that's helpful for getting stuff through. But I'm a Wisconsinite, and I'm looking out at snow right now. It's 10 degrees. It's absolutely beautiful. And so I'm going to spend as much time in district as possible.
Okay, quick question. Do you have to fly into Milwaukee and drive? And if so, I want people to understand what representatives who have, Juan's got to go to Dallas to get to Tucson. It's forever, but he's got to go back every week. He's got 6 hits. How long does the commute take Derrick Van Orden?
For me to fly, if I do a regional airport, it's about 1 hour and 15 minutes to La Crosse, or 2 hours to Madison. It's a direct flight from Madison to DCA. If I fly through La Crosse, that's a hopper up to Minneapolis, and then to DCA, which is downtown. So you're looking at a full day of travel, and we'll be doing that probably twice a week.
Rack up those miles.
Well, it's the nature of the game, man. It's funny, when the system was developed, you could ride a horse around your district in a day. And here, I've got 13,000 square miles, 19 whole and partial.
Good counties. Lord.
Yep. And during the campaign, man, me and my staff, we put over 180,000 miles on our vehicles.
Well, you earned it the old-fashioned way. You asked for people's votes. Derrick Van Orden, keep coming back. Congratulations. Thanks for a little look into the world of a newly elected freshman from Wisconsin. Did you say 1 million pounds more cheese than California?
That's right. Take that, California.
Well, I'm kind of stunned. I'm really, actually, that's my new fun fact to know and tell. Derrick Van Orden, thank you. Don't go anywhere, America. I'll be right back.